All right, today we're jumping into a really profound and, honestly, pretty urgent work, The Undiscovered Self by the great psychiatrist Carl Jung. It's this passionate warning about the modern world, arguing that the key to our collective survival isn't in big mass movements, but in the inner journey of each and every one of us. And Jung just gets right to the heart of it with this powerful statement. What he's saying here is, look, we can't fix society's problems from the outside in. The health of our world is literally a direct reflection of the health of the people within it. The change, it has to start with us.
So, what is the problem exactly? Well, Jung begins with a really stark diagnosis of the modern crisis, a crisis he believes has made the individual, well, almost obsolete.
This slide lays out the shift that Jung is talking about so clearly. On one side, you have the individual, defined by things like moral responsibility and, actual real life. And on the other side, you've got the state, which runs on abstract policies and this idea of public welfare. Jung's big warning is that the state is starting to swallow the individual whole. And here's what that feels like in practice. Our autonomy, our freedom to choose, is just eroding. We're being treated less and less like unique human beings, and more like social units, ruled, fed, and educated based on standards designed for the masses, not for the person. Ultimately, this is what Jung warns we risk becoming. Not a person with unique value and dignity, but simply an interchangeable unit of, well, almost no importance. Just an abstract number in some government file. So how in the world did this happen? Jung points to a primary cause, the dehumanizing effect of a worldview that is absolutely obsessed with statistics. Our modern rational society, man, we love data. We love averages and large numbers. We use statistics to try and make sense of the world. But Jung gives this huge caution. This scientific method, while it's useful, it creates an ideal average that can seriously distort a picture of actual lived reality. He uses this fantastic pebble analogy. Think about it. Knowing the average weight tells you something, I guess, but it tells you very little about any single pebble. In fact, you could search for a very, very long time and maybe never find a single pebble that weighs exactly 145 grams. So what happens to that individual pebble? The unique exception that doesn't quite fit the average. Well, in a purely statistical worldview, those exceptions, those unique realities, they just get canceled out. They basically disappear from the picture. And this right here is Jung's main point. The statistical man is just an abstract idea. It's not real. The true carrier of reality, he insists, is the concrete, singular, and often irregular individual human being. Now, this constant focus on the outside world, on society, on the state, on the masses, it comes at a huge psychological cost. It creates this dangerous split deep within us, forcing us to confront what Jung famously called our undiscovered shadow. We all think we know ourselves, right? But what we usually call self-knowledge is just knowledge of our conscious ego, the part of us that we're aware of, the part we show to the world. And Jung says we're making a massive mistake if we think that's the whole story. Because the ego, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface lies this vast, unknown territory of the unconscious, and lurking down there in the depths are all the repressed, unacknowledged, and kind of darker aspects of our nature, what Jung calls the shadow. And ignoring this inner darkness is incredibly dangerous. It leaves us vulnerable to what Jung calls psychic infections. We stop seeing our own capacity for evil, and instead we project it onto other people, our neighbors, our political opponents. This is what fuels so much of the mistrust and division we see in our world. So if the problem is an inner one, then what's the solution? For Jung, the prescription is a radical turn inward, a true, courageous search for self-knowledge. This is the absolute heart of his entire argument. The antidote to mass-mindedness isn't another ideology or some new political movement. The only thing that can truly counteract the immense pressure of the collective is the development of individual consciousness. So, Jung outlines this three-step path. First, rigorous self-examination. You have to actually take yourself seriously as a complex being. Second, and this is the really hard part, is confronting the shadow, acknowledging your own darkness. And finally, that journey leads to discovering an inner anchor, something beyond the material everyday world. So what is this anchor? Jung describes it as an inner experience of a transcendent authority,
a kind of personal, moral, or spiritual compass that acts as a counterweight to the world's influence. This inner grounding is what gives a person the strength to stand firm and not just get swept away by the mass.
And this brings us to the final and maybe most crucial point. How does this deeply personal journey connect all the way back to the fate of our world? This quote, wow, it's just devastatingly clear, isn't it? You can gather millions of people, but if they are de-individualized, if they've lost their inner substance, they add up to nothing. The value of any community, Jung insists, depends entirely on the moral and spiritual quality of the individuals inside it.
And this is really the ultimate takeaway. We can't heal a sick society with grand external plans. A sick society is just a collection of sick individuals. The only real path to healing our world is healing the individual soul, one person at a time.
Which brings us to the final, provocative question that Jung's work really leaves us with. In an age that pushes us relentlessly toward the collective, toward becoming just another number, what does it mean for you and for our future to truly discover your undiscovered self?